and elements of the report are for approving. So I'd just like to rerun the vote. So, can I say? So I think that has been approved and noted well and thoroughly. Thank you so much. Okay, so now at this point of the meeting, we are going to come to the motions. So the first item, which is item 11, and I think I should possibly say that we don't perceive that we're going to need an extension to the meeting now. We feel that we're on time. So we have an altered motion, which is shown on the screen in the room. This motion has been altered, which means that all groups have agreed to a change, which in this case was the addition of the final 2 paragraphs. The altered motion was published today as a supplement to the agenda. So, I would like to ask Councillor Jeff Gollop of the Conservative Group to move the motion. Councillor Gollop.
Thank you, my Lord Mayor. I have to say I'm saddened to have to move this motion. It shouldn't be necessary. But I just want to start by just recapping on what has happened. A group of parents, desperately let down by the council in the provision of special educational needs, use all means, including social media, to inform councillors and the press of the council's failings. Now, in my view, these parents are a remarkable group of people who deserve to feel the council is on their side, not adding to the many challenges that they already face. But instead of responding to their needs, somewhere within this organisation, someone made a decision to monitor those parents' social media accounts. Now we have a report. There are a lot of words in that report. Use that. There are a lot of... Is that better? Yep. There are a lot of words in that report, but actually not a lot of information. It is of great concern to me that the administration appear not to have condemned these actions. And by not condemning, that means they appear to have condoned them. Tonight's debate provides a last chance for Asher to correct that. Now let me be clear, Lord Mayor, all councils have responsibilities to treat residents fairly and proportionately. And I would support legal means of tracing information where fraud or abuse is an issue. But not, my Lord Mayor, because someone disagrees with and is critical of this administration. Those means were used to monitor parents of our most vulnerable children in the name of this council. Now, it doesn't matter to me whether it was systematic or random. That was wrong. I believe almost all of us agree that that was wrong. Yet, my Lord Mayor, we employ people who actually think that was right. How can we not have a policy that makes clear that was not acceptable, that outlines dismissal as the ultimate end result for such disregard, and sets out procedures for approval at high level in the rare cases where such monitoring is appropriate? Only an independent inquiry will tell us who is responsible for this. Members, please join me and my group in voting for that. I beg to move the altered motion.
Thank you, Councillor Gollop. I'd now like to ask Councillor Christine Townsend of the Green Group to second the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So whilst I'm confident that this council will pass this motion, the power and the resources used to investigate our citizens must be used with very strict boundaries and ensure that it doesn't become an abuse of power or a method to silence. This administration and senior officers may well find some of the messages or the feedback uncomfortable. So they should. The service has been poor for many, many years. It may contradict their own narrative it wishes to tell itself, but weaponising its own power to silence and defund is a path to authoritarianism. It's my belief that this is why an independent investigation is needed. There was found to be no formal process followed for gaining internal legal permission to undertake this collection of material. It involved cross-referencing social media accounts and the collation of an apparent evidence bundle that was then used by the lead for education. As elected representatives of our residents, for whom all council officers work, this is very alarming. Whilst we're told there's no evidence of elected members authorising this, it suggests to me that such practices were assumed to be normalised under the political leadership of this administration. Had that not been normal for officers to undertake such actions, they would have gone through the necessary processes and got permission and recorded such permission. The aim was to crush a funding stream of an organisation, the very purpose of which is to advocate for parents and carers and enhance their own agency within the statutory education system. This is something that the administration claims it wishes to support. The reasons provided by officers to justify this use of taxpayer-funded work time has since been blown out of the water. The Parent Carer Forum has just received funding from the National Lottery. Due diligence in relation to the governance, one of the key areas we are told was a reason for disfunding, would have been a key area of investigation by that National Lottery before those funds were granted. Councillor Craig stated at People Scrutiny that the Parent Carer Forum was, and I quote, in disarray. The National Lottery did not obviously find such a case. This view is also not shared by North Somerset or South Gloucestershire councils, who continue to have full confidence in the organisation. Indeed, Contact, the national organisation, who oversees all parent carer forums across the whole of our country, has stated publicly that they have always been professional and appropriate. This in itself is a reason to vote for the motion. In the words of one of the country's and this city's greatest Labour MPs, Tony Benn, I say this, or he rather says this: those who sacrifice their view in order to get to the top very often leave no footprint in the sand. It is those boat rockers who are the ones who build the craft.
Thank you, Councillor Townsend. So we'd now like to hear from the other speakers on the motion, and I would first like to ask Councillor Asher Craig to speak on behalf of the Labour Group.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I appreciate that when we talk on the subject of SEN, it is a very emotive area for all concerned, especially for parents and children. It's why, when we heard of the allegations, we immediately commissioned a report to get to the bottom of what happened. I want to set out clearly and factually the situation surrounding the accusations that council staff systematically viewed and shared social media posts by members of Bristol Parent Carers Forum, and the reason why, as the Cabinet Lead for Education, think it is wrong to be pressured by political opposition to fund any organisation using emotion. It's a very dangerous precedent to set, and there are a lot of organisations in the city vying for limited council funding, and deciding which gets it through a politicised debate in full council, where the alternatives aren't properly assessed, is no way for this council to function. I also take issue with the way this motion talks about the council's legal team, implying their investigation wasn't genuine. There's a difference between not agreeing with the outcome of a report and questioning the integrity of those who wrote it. The concerns raised relating to the gathering of social media information is well documented in the People Scrutiny Report. All the information that was collated is publicly available, and any suggestion that this council was carrying out covert surveillance on parents is just ridiculous. But if councillors want to spend taxpayers' money on an external investigation, then that's fine. We intended to vote for the original motion that called for this. Since 2019, the council has been on a very long journey with Bristol Parent and Carers Forum. This included contracting an interim chair from another parent forum to lead the organisation because of long-standing issues within the group, which included lack of leadership. Bristol City Council supported the forum's application for DFE funding for 2020-21 in the hope that Contact should support the current forum to increase their capacity to fill their role effectively. In March 2021, Bristol City Council appointed a SEND Partnership Engagement Development Officer to enable the council to reach out to and build relationships with a wide range of parent and carer groups in recognition of the forum's limited membership and still evolving constitution. Officers working in the service area had concerns relating to the governance of the group and the fact that it represented a relatively small section of Bristol's diverse parent-carer community. In 2019, we agreed a written statement of action which set out serious shortcomings in the Council's response to the EHCP process and highlighted a number of areas that were cause for concern, including the fractious relationship with parents. Working with the new consortium of groups, which is a growing partnership of 21 parent groups across the city, including the Parents Forum, we have co-developed and agreed the SEND Partnership Plan, which is a reframing of an extension
Councillor
of our
Craig, I'm afraid I am going to have to ask you to
written
wind up soon.
We have a strategic voice for parents in this city. It's called the Consortium of Groups, which includes, as I said, the Parent Carer Forum. Your motion is littered with inaccuracies and emotive language, but I want to make it fundamentally clear that we have a strategic relationship with parents of children with STEM in this city, and to give the impression otherwise is to devalue and dismiss the role of this group of committed parents and carers.
Thank you, Councillor Craig.
Most of whom are volunteers as well as paid staff.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite Councillor Tim Kent to speak on behalf of the Liberal Democrat Group.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm speaking today in favour of the altered motion and thank the mover of the motion for accepting those additions from us. I support the reinstatement of Bristol Parent Carer Forum as the partner organisation of the Council and to work with the Council on co-production. At the moment, there is no parent voice at the strategic co-production level. Maybe that suits some people's agenda here. It is not, though, the desire and agenda of the parents of this city, nor their children who have for too long struggled against a hostile system, and regrettably that hostility is clearly widespread. At People's Scrutiny only 2 weeks ago, we had a full presentation from the officers where detailed questions were asked of them on the fact-finding report. From this it was clear, no credible evidence at all was produced to prove that members of Bristol Parent Carer Forum had in any way campaigned as officers of that organisation, broken any confidences of the council, or had not acted in the best interests of parents in this city. All of the accusations, all the innuendo is false. What was revealed was a campaign of distrust, uncredible accusations, including some made at that meeting, and consistent, and I would argue, systematic monitoring of social media, which led to false conclusions that reinforce the incorrect biased views of senior leaders in this council. The new group that has been set up for consultation is welcome, but has not, does not, and cannot co-produce. It simply is not possible for that group to do that. We learned that the council does not know if officers may have infiltrated private Facebook groups to gather evidence. We have learnt that officers did use their own private social media accounts to gather evidence, despite reassurances that did not happen. We learnt that within the People Directorate, there was clear guidance on social media monitoring, and the activity we saw clearly breached that guidance. We also had many unanswered questions. What became clear from the fact-finding report is that an independent investigation was now vital if this council and the administration wishes to rebuild trust with parents. The air needs to be cleared. People's Scrutiny members felt so strongly that this was the case that the vote was unanimous from across all 4 parties, supporting a motion calling for an independent investigation and for Bristol Parent Care Reform to be reinstated for co-production. So today we have a choice. We can dedicate the council to openness and partnership, working with parents and support an investigation. Or we can vote against that, or abstain, which is exactly the same thing. But we need to be clear. This issue will not go away until there is an independent investigation to resolve it, to clear up what actually happened. No matter how you choose to vote today, that will be the final outcome. That investigation will occur one way or the other.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. I'd now like to invite Councillor Gary Hopkins to speak on behalf of the Knoll Community Party.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. There was one other aspect that's not been brought up. There was false information put out by the administration to say that the investigations and the concerns had come from the parents, which turned out to be complete bunkum. But misinformation of that sort is not unknown. I think it's absolutely vital that this independent investigation happens. Some couple of years ago, I, with others, actually pressed for an independent investigation into Bristol Energy Company. That was rejected by the administration. They had the votes at that time to do it. It eventually happened when the independent auditors looked at this. If it had been accepted before, some of the £46 million that was wasted would have been saved. In some ways, this is even more important because we're talking about the integrity of this council and the way it actually behaves towards citizens in this city. And I think that after this investigation, if it's shown, as I suspect, that some people in senior positions were actually encouraging this behaviour, then I think that one or two people need to question their position in this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gollop, would you like to respond as you are the mover of the motion?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank all the councillors who've spoken in support of this altered motion. But forgive me, I'm not going to spend any more time on you because I agree with every word you said. But I do want to comment on what Councillor Craig said. I invited you to condemn, and instead you chose to justify. And that is disgraceful. You said only moments ago that there was not covert surveillance. My Lord Mayor, I believe I'm speaking and I believe I have the right to speak. Thank you. Councillor Craig, you said there was no...
if we do have 3 minutes, Councillor Gollop has 3 minutes to sum up. Thank you.
Councillor Craig said that there was no covert surveillance. I think it's very clear that there was surveillance. I think it's very clear that those parents did not know that they were being surveyed. So actually, I believe that definition of covert surveillance is correct. And Councillor Craig was misleading the House by making a statement that there was no covert surveillance. That is totally out of order, my Lord Mayor. Councillor Craig said that we were politicising this issue. Believe me, I'm not politicising it. I am disgusted by the way this council carried out its role. It is not acceptable, and I will not be accused of being political. I will always make clear when I think something is out of order. And I think it would do Councillor Craig wise to actually note when the majority of members of this House also believe it's out of order. We all know that there are members on the Labour benches who also think it's out of order, Perhaps they might like to go for a discreet cup of coffee at this moment. The fact is, my Lord Mayor, that we've heard an attempt to justify the unjustifiable. And that is embarrassing, because I had hoped we might see some consensus and try to move forward so that we would not be having to blame an administration for this, that we could actually see that it was a mistake that happened, we have an independent inquiry to identify that and take this matter forward. But it appears that you have chosen to make this a party issue. Only the rest of us don't see it as that. We see it as a disgrace. My Lord Mayor, I hope members can share with me and make sure that this request for this independent review and inquiry is carried by a substantial majority. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gollop. Mayor Rees, do you wish to respond? It's not really in the remit.
She's been named, therefore she has the right to reply.
Okay, sorry, beg your pardon. I've been told by the monitoring officer that you do have a right to reply because you have been named.
Nowhere did I say in my statement that I condoned what you have called this systematic surveillance of social media. Okay, it was not systematic, and this is the problem that we have. I have said in hold on. I have said in my I never used the word. I said in my statement that we were going to support the call for an independent investigation.
I never used the word
I said
systematic.
it quite clearly in my.
I can't hear if both of you are speaking at once.
I made it fundamentally clear that we
Councillor
would
Gollop,
support.
can you sit down for a moment, please? We'll just clarify.
Can I not make a point of personal clarification?
Well, I think
No, 'cause every time I
Councillor
clarified,
Craig
you
is in
told
the
me I
middle of
couldn't
making her
speak.
clarification. So let's have one clarification at a time, please.
So I clarified in my report. Let me. Oh, I put it away. But I made it fundamentally clear that we would. Our intention was to support the call for an independent inquiry. You kind of, and this is the problem with this house. You kind of skip over. You go for the incendiary. You go for the bluster. You missed that out. I said that I would support that. What I'm not going to support is this house using motion, golden motion, silver motions, call it what you will, as a backdoor to funding organisations without going through any proper procedure. And that is what I am against, not the actual review.
Thank you. Councillor Gollop, I will give you an opportunity to speak again for very briefly if you've got something that you want to say on a point of clarification.
I just wanted to clarify. I made the point that I was not accusing it of being systematic. And I actually said in my speech that it didn't matter whether it was systematic or random, that it was still unacceptable. So I'm not prepared to be told that I made a statement which I did not. And I would like that comment withdrawn. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Mayor Rees, do you have some comments?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lord Mayor. I mean, it's I was taking some young people around this chamber just a few weeks ago, and again had to kind of lament on the way we do politics and the opportunities that are taken to the missed opportunities to do politics in the way that the city needs and deserves, and this is another example of that. But there's a lot of nuance to this. It's not captured, Jeff. I mean, I must admit, of all the people I knew before the election, my election, to the kind of people I know after the election, you are one of the most disappointing councillors I've got to know because of the way you've operated. But nonetheless, we are where we are. We're happy if you want to go ahead with the review. That's fine. You can commit council resources to that. The only thing we would ask is that, one, it's independently led, which we think with LGA would provide some of that. But be honest and publish the costs of it, both the financial and the time costs in terms of council officers, but also the financial and time costs in terms of councillors as well, and actually take ownership of the consequences of the actions you take when you are continually looking for for your next angle of positioning an attack.
Thank you. Right, can we, we're going to move to the vote. Councillor Kent. Councillor Kent. Thank you. We're going to move to the vote. This will be an e-vote. We don't think the e-vote's working.
And I'm doing the plus on that because I always have to double check.
It's not on there yet.
Okay, things just keep getting better. The e-vote system isn't working. So we're going to ask the monitoring officer to do a roll call so that you have to call out your votes.
I can't get any better today.
Okay. So if we can, there's a little bit of frisson going around the room at the moment, and it would be best, especially as we're going to call out the votes, it's really important that we have quiet and that the monitoring officer can hear everybody's votes. So let's start it, crack on and do this as quickly as possible. Are you ready? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lord Mayor. Councillor Don Alexander. Councillor Leslie Alexander.
For.
Councillor Ali. Councillor Bales. Councillor Beach. Apologies. Councillor Bartle.
For.
Councillor Bennett. Councillor Bradshaw.
Abstain.
Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Clark. Councillor Classic.
For.
Councillor Cole.
Abstain.
Councillor Craig. Councillor Davies. Councillor Denyer.
For.
Councillor Dyer.
For.
Councillor Eddy.
For.
For.
Councillor Fitzgibbon.
For.
Councillor Fitzjohn. Councillor Fodor.
For.
Councillor Francis.
For.
Councillor Geeta.
For.
Councillor Goggin. Councillor Gollop.
For.
Councillor Goodman. Councillor Gulandris.
For.
Councillor Grant.
For.
Councillor Hance. Councillor Hartley. Councillor Hathway.
For.
Councillor Holland.
Abstain.
Councillor Hopkins.
For.
Councillor Hornchen. Councillor Hooker.
For.
Councillor Hulme. Councillor Hussain. Councillor Jackson.
Abstain.
Councillor Jammer. Councillor Kent.
For.
Councillor King.
Abstain.
Councillor Mack.
For.
Councillor Macawi.
For.
Councillor Massey.
Abstain.
Councillor Michelat.
For.
Councillor Mohammed.
For.
Councillor Morris. Councillor Parsons.
For.
Councillor Pearce. Councillor Plowden.
For.
Councillor Pulteney.
For.
Councillor Courtley.
For.
Councillor Renard. Councillor Rippington. Councillor James Scott. Councillor Sharon Scott. Councillor Smith.
For.
Councillor Stafford Townsend.
For.
Councillor Stone. Councillor Townsend. Councillor Varney. Councillor Weston. Councillor Wilcox.
4,
Councillor Windows,
4.
Councillor Y, Councillor Dudd, Mayor Rees.
Yeah, abstain.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
We'll just wait for a while we tots up the numbers. Thank you. So the results of the vote are 39 for, 0 against and 18 abstentions. So the motion is carried.